outside the catch world, maybe not so much, but I've been doing martial arts 42 years now, so I started back in '81, and I've done it all. I've competed in all kinds of stuff. I've trained and competed in everything. I've started striking, got into judo, got into weapons, fought in mixed martial arts before it was mixed martial arts. Before it was cool, right? It wasn't even a thing yet. It was they called us hybrid fighters back in the day, right? We'd fight 3 guys a night and just show up and pay $60 and get a little plastic trophy because you beat 3 guys. And moved on to grappling. Did very well in grappling, competed in a lot of grappling stuff, fought in the Philippines in stick fighting, knife fighting, longsword, done sword demonstrations in Japan, and all kinds of stuff. So I've been very versed in martial arts, but I'm mostly known for my striking and my catch wrestling. That's what I'm most known for. I'm one of only 3, I should say 3, one of only a handful of assistant instructors under Billy Robinson. Billy Robinson's a legend, living legend of our time. He passed a bunch of years back, but he was the guy for a very long time. Billy was a pro wrestler, but also a catch wrestler. He was a catch wrestler first, later ventured into pro wrestling. And if you know who he is, he's amazing. If you don't know who he is, look him up. Just an outright encyclopedia of catch wrestling. So to be under him as one of a handful of instructors under him is pretty amazing. So Billy trained guys like Kazushi Sakuraba, Josh Barnett, Suzuki, and all these amazing fighters throughout the years. So doing that stuff, I'm very detail oriented when it comes to catch, because that's how Billy was. Billy, he just hammered in details to us. The best thing, if I can explain catch wrestling in a nutshell, is if jiu-jitsu is the gentle art, catch wrestling is the violent art, right? So we're the fast, aggressive, mean guys, and we're the dirty grapplers, right? That's just the truth of the matter, right? So catch wrestling is all takedowns, all submissions, plus we're allowed pins, which means if your shoulder blades are flat on the mat, your match is over, you're lost. Which that translates to combatives very well, because now we don't want to fight from our back so much, we want to fight from top, right? If I'm on top, I can draw my weapon, I can control your weapon, I can disengage, create space, and work all my dominant position stuff. So we're takedown heavy, we're top control heavy, we try to get off our back as much as possible. That's a general nutshell of catch wrestling. The history runs super deep. You know, we've been around, catch wrestling's been around for forever. It could loosely be traced back to pancration days. It was around before jiu-jitsu. It was one of the original Olympic sports, was catch wrestling. Freestyle and folk style wrestling come from catch wrestling. So it's pretty neat that if you wrestled in high school, you've done an offshoot of catch wrestling. Just like how Japanese jiu-jitsu went to sport judo, they took out the dangerous stuff and it made it sport. Same with catch, they took out the dangerous stuff from catch and made it folk style. So that's how we have in high school now in some colleges. Stance in catch wrestling is a little bit different than your wrestling stance in high school. In freestyle, folk style, we get down low, we usually generally have a lower stance. Catch is a more upright stance, more like a Greco-Roman style stance, a little more upright, elbows tight, which keeps our base strong, and again, keeps our elbows in. Really good for combatives, good for keeping everything accessible, be able to draw your weapon, work whatever you need to work. So that's a quick overview of catch, the history of it. One last thing on that is what happened to catch. We started out as professional wrestling. It was called professional wrestling before WWE, and it was real matches. Guys would come out, 2 dudes would wrestle, and they could wrestle up to 5, 6, 7 hours sometimes. And matches would go on for hours and hours, and they'd have stadiums full. And they were real matches. Guys would wrestle for real. The best 3 falls would win the match. If you know, people were doing that for fun after work, and they started getting to doing that for side bets. That became a big thing. So people were utilizing wrestling as a source of income. As everything else goes, when money gets involved, people get corrupt, and that's how WWE started. They took these catch wrestlers, and guys started saying, "Hey, look, I'll pay you X amount of dollars to lose that match." "Oh, sure, this is my living. I'll take that money and lose that match." And then it became fixed matches. And then it kind of slowly but surely deteriorated into show matches. And then it became this whole thing of, you know, whoever could put on the biggest, craziest show, sell the most tickets, that's the guy who's getting paid, and he's the guy getting the belt. So it kind of fell apart and it fractured. It was a small group that stayed alive, where Billy Robinson came from, my coach, and they kept true catch wrestling alive while pro wrestling. And then there was a showman that came through and did the show stuff, and catch almost died. Luckily, there's a few of us kept it alive, and it's made a resurgence. And now catch wrestling is back in the mainstream. Not quite as popular as jiu-jitsu, but it's getting there. At least it's getting recognition. So it's kind of cool. You start to see guys in like UFC or Bellator or any of these big MMA fighting organizations. Little by little, you start to see catch guys come in, or at least people using catch technique, which is pretty cool.